There is a moment in every life when you decide to rise, to stand taller than your fear, to speak louder than your doubt, to chase the vision that sets your soul on fire. This is that moment. And here, we walk it together with stories that awaken, voices that inspire, and truths that set you free. This is Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald, where hope has a voice, and that voice is yours. And welcome to the show, everybody. We've got a really phenomenal show. And the reason we have a phenomenal show is always because we have a phenomenal guest. And his name is Brad Smith. He has a business and he works with CEOs and he helps them to modify their business and to create the best business possible. But that's only scratching the itty bitty teeny weeny surface of the man that is here to talk with us today. Brad, how are you? And Rochelle's going to be joining us hopefully at one point. And Brad, welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm delighted.
This is going to be, and by the way, we've got somebody already that is saying, hello all, and live at Omar too. And I don't know that I know, well, it doesn't matter. I know him now. Hi, Brad, or hi, Omar, how you doing? And so talk to us a little bit about your business and what you do, but I'm really intrigued by your deep intuitive masterclass and how you connect the universe and your energy to working with CEOs so that they can build the best company and the best culture and the best life that they have. Have I misrepresented that at all?
Not at all. Okay, let's jump into it.
All righty then.
As I was growing up, my dad had a PhD in biochemistry and a bachelor's degree in chemical engineering. And he taught me to think like an engineer, like a chemical engineer, right? So my first 2 years at school were in chemical engineering, which is good. A lot of chemistry. But he also, when we moved to Oregon, I watched him start 34 companies or be involved as part of the initiating team in a startup. 34 companies, managed to kill 30 of them.
Ain't that always the way?
It's just, it's the perfect average, right? But it's like, there's 3 of them still running 60 years later. 3 still running.
That's
right?
that, in the law of averages, that's a really high percentage. That's almost 10%.
It is. But that's kind of the normal, Any rate, I got bit, if you would, by the bug of helping companies grow, but I didn't know that at the time. So went almost all the way through college in chemistry, biochemistry, pre-med, all that sort of thing, and wound up 2 terms short of a degree, quit for 11 years and went back and finished my degree in business management because what I wanted to do was manage R&D teams, which is kind of the life I grew up in. He was a chemist. And so I went from that to 11 years as an analytical and formulation chemist. All right. That means you walked into a bare room, asked them what they wanted out of the lab, and then built the lab for them. That was fun. Right?
And it takes a little bit of expertise too.
No, that's just beakers and Bunsen burners, right? And thinking, right? So based on that, my second wife, now ex, but second wife brought me an article in the Oregonian about a woman who'd gone through Coach University. And she said, Brad, and I was doing consulting at the time. I said, Brad, you're already doing this. You might as well get paid for what you're doing. And she stuck that in front of me. She said, call them. So I did. It took me a couple months to get my act together. But that was essentially April of 96. And so essentially I started my company then, started doing pro bono work so I could talk to people. But I felt like, oh yeah, this is like a glove. This fits me perfectly.
Yep.
And if you listen carefully, and so I'm going to mention a few books in the process. Ran into a book called, 2 years into it, I woke up one day and realized, oh yeah, Brad, you got a choice. You need income. Either go figure out how to get new clients that can pay you, right? Or go back to work. How long do you want to do that? Nope. It was like a 4-second decision, right? So go out, go on your own and figure it out. Went to the library, checked out 8 books on selling. The best of the 8 was Secrets of Question-Based Selling by Thomas Fries. Get it, read it. Even if you're a leader, because if you're a leader, if you ask questions, you're curious. And if you're curious, then you can get rapport and draw people out. Because running a company is not about telling people what to do, God, right? Telling people, it's like sharing the vision and then helping them understand what's possible, and they're part of what's possible.
And the interesting thing, Brad, that you say about that is if you're asking intelligent questions, the first thing that you have to do is listen completely and totally what's being said. You've got 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason.
Yeah.
And you can't ask intelligent questions if you're not willing to listen to what's actually being said. Do you agree?
Yep. Yep. So that's called rapport. And the foundation of our whole economy is rapport, or not, as the case may be.
As the case may be.
Yeah. Right.
But when you're working with a CEO, there's a and what I love about your work, working with CEOs and people of quote unquote power, is that they have the ability to change a corporate structure and change an entire culture that not only will affect the business and the people within that business, but the ripple effect goes out far and wide to a lot of different people.
Right. So I have a statement. It's one of the ones I'd like to be known for. You can't grow an organization or a business beyond the limitations of the leader. Think about that.
So true.
Right? It's like if you don't look in, you can't grow out.
I need to make a bumper sticker out of that. That's really good. Yeah. If you don't grow in, you can't grow out.
Yep. Yep.
And I want everybody who's listening to this just to take a moment and to think about that, because if it requires the inner work in order for you to be able to do the outer work that makes the most sense. Am I correct?
The way I describe that is your income is a symptom of the work you do inside.
Oh. So there are people that are not particularly wealthy or rich or satisfied. And part of that's because they haven't invested in the inner work that they need to do first before they can do the outer work. Is that right?
Yep. Yep. So who you are makes a difference in what you get.
And you're full of quotes, by the way. Did you know that?
Yeah, let's just bring them on. I feel like I kind of channel what comes. It's like, I've had all these experiences, profound experiences. Like we may get to a few of them today, but profound experiences. And I want people to understand all 8 billion of us ish, right? 8 billion of us are profound beings. We just have to wake up and realize what we're capable of. All the things that all the mystics did, every one of them. Jesus, Buddha, Krishna, right? There's stories about Buddha teleporting levitating, we'll use that right word, levitating his inner group from one location to another when he was doing speeches, right? Jesus and all the miracles that he did. Every one of them were just showing us what's possible for you as an individual.
And our biggest challenge is to recognize the statement you just made is true.
Well, you don't know until you do your own research. Go do the experiment, right? Have you ever had deja vu?
All the time, yes, sir.
Right. So that's just a little bit of your upper self showing up.
Yes, and in my world, and just I love music, and there are certain songs that will play when I'm having a thought to my, and I'd love your opinion, when I'm having this thought that is not coming from me, but it's my intuition speaking, saying you need to think about doing this or whatever it is, and then I'll get in my car. This happened again this weekend. One of the songs that is that for me is Metallica's "Nothing Else Matters." Are you familiar with that song?
I am.
Where it says, "Trust, forever trust in who you are, and nothing else matters." And that song, I get in my car after I'm having this thought and stuff, and that song was the first song to play on the radio,
Oh, of
and that
course.
tells me that the tuition that I was having was real and it was true.
Well, I'm going to take you a little deeper. This is a short lesson in intuition. When you have something that's accurate, it's different than when your mind thinks a thought.
Yep.
It comes in, there's a sense. Now, for me, I'm a kinesthetic learner first, right? I'm an auditory learner second, and I'm a visual learner third, right? And the didactic is I'm not. So, what's happening when you have an intuitive thing is there's a sense about that. When you get far enough into it, there's a feel to the information you get that you know instantly that it's accurate. Think about an epiphany, right? So
Yep.
the outcome of my in my intuition class is living, if you can imagine, living in a constant state of epiphany. When you have an epiphany, you know for a fact it's accurate. You don't have to ask anybody, you just know, and it connects all the dots right then, right? Can you imagine running a company or a state or a country and having that sort of person available to run it, where they knew accurately ahead of time what they were going to do and what the outcome was?
That would be a wonderful thing, but that would be life changing. Let me put it that way.
It was. It was.
And it changed you. Now I got to ask you, because this has been something that you have gathered over time. Where did it begin for you? Do you remember?
Oh, well, it started at 18. And at 18, fall term freshman year, sophomore year, no, winter term, I had a thought that I wanted to pursue and understand. So, like, my theory was, okay, I want to solve or learn about the theory of what Earth is and who I am, what I am, right? But it had to include all human beings that ever had been and ever would be and currently were alive. It had to include all their experiences, good, bad, horrible, and wonderful, ecstatic, right? All of them. And it had to have a positive purpose. Those were my only three requirements. And starting
how did you get so smart when you were 18? I could barely put my pants on correctly.
Well, 800 years of meditation. Literally.
Yeah.
Okay.
I get that. Yeah. So go ahead.
So that was kind of the start. That was my studying part. But the first, apologize, but oh shit moment was trying to think back. So I went to a guy, he's not alive anymore, and he said, you've had 2 or 3 lives, and one of them was a Viking. Well, I'd always been drawn to that kind of period, right? So later on, I found a hypnotherapist. I found a book. We've talked about it, Journey of Souls by Michael Newton. If you haven't read it,
and Brad, we're going to be referencing that book and the teachings within it quite a little bit in this episode, because it is a really important book that needs to be read, I believe, by everybody.
It's the start.
Correct.
It is the start. So, I lost my thought. Okay, so what started for me was a series of experiences. I went through a separation from my first wife. We'd had all the deaths that we'd had, which I will explain in a moment. And I realized I've still lost my thought. Sorry, I touched too
Well,
many.
I'll tell you what, why don't you let me take this break and you gather your thought and then we will come back in just 1 minute. I wanted to play because you are into leadership and that's part of the mission that you have, not by any means the only one that you've got, but it's kind of like just the surface. But I'd like to play this for you real quick. You're listening to Positive Talk. My name is Kevin Burchell. Hopefully we'll be here at one point, and we'll be right back. We're talking with Brad Smith. And go to his website, which, by the way, is stellarinsightinc.com. Find out all about him and all the work that he does. And we'll be right back in 1 minute. Brad, I'd love your input into this. Here are some points to ponder from Positive Talk Radio. You know, some say leadership is about getting the work done, about pushing forward, no matter the cost. But what's the cost of a team with no purpose? What if a single act of support, a single moment of genuine grit could change everything? What if leadership was a catalyst? Because true leadership isn't about being in control. It's about empowering others to find their purpose. It's about leading with passion and igniting the fire in everyone around you, creating a culture of teamwork and common purpose. A true leader finds this culture by enthusiastic purpose and team development, making each team member feel empowered to create, improve, and execute their tasks with genuine passion and a strong belief in the company's mission and focus. In other words, lead with purpose. And welcome back to Positive Talk. Brad Smith is our guest. And by the way, Brad, I got to tell you that you got to come back. We're not going to be able to get everything done in the hour that we have together. And so I'm going to rebook you to come back, and thank you for that. I'll say it in advance. What did you think of that piece?
On the back of my business card, it says, "The best way to predict the future is to create it," by Peter Drucker.
And by Brad Smith.
I want people to understand that management is about direction. Okay, that's supervision. Management above that supervision level is about guiding, right? And drawing out of people. But leadership starts when you start asking questions, the listening part, right? When you start asking people what they want to achieve. Part of an interview has to be, what do you want to achieve in your life? What do you want to achieve? What's important to you? And what drives you to be better?
That takes a great deal of thought, and some people haven't thought that far when they get into an interview.
When they're in an interview with me or anyone I coach, they're going to be asked that and a bunch deeper. So.
Well, you know, and it's important when you are, and tell me if you agree with this, it's important when you conduct an interview with somebody that you bring somebody on who is fundamentally in line with the company's mission and purpose, and that they believe kind of the same things that you do. And the only way that you can do that is to be going deeper into the conversation. Is that true?
True. Yeah. Excavation is required.
Now that's another bumper sticker. You know, I'm going to have to save this. I will be saving this episode, and you'll be able to go to YouTube and watch it. But you are a quote guru. You do a great job with that.
Sure. I want people to understand what's possible, right?
Yes.
Let's put it this way: if there were 1,000 people on the face of the planet that actively, publicly levitated, do you think any of the rest of us would wait until that was just going to stumble into it. No, we'd all actively participate and pursue it hard.
Yeah.
Here's another quote. If someone else has done it on the planet, I can do it. So can you. If there's other people that are millionaires or billionaires, right? That's just a matter of math and paying attention. You can do it. So one of my goals with my clients is to help them take their revenue, whatever it was last year, and double it as soon as we can figure out how to get it done. Double it, right?
Yep.
And so I have a client early in my career, maybe 15 years ago. So halfway through my career with this. He was at 3.5 million. He'd just taken over from his brother as the CEO. They were at 3.5 million the year before I started. They were at 6.5 million by the end of the first year. They were at 9.5 million by the end of the third, the second year I worked with them. The third year I worked, they were at 12.8 million. And the following year, then I'd stopped working with them because we had pretty much everything laid out. He took it from 12.8 to 13.2 million, but increased his profit margin by a factor of 5.
Wow. That's incredible.
That woke me up.
Oh, sure. By the way, and speaking of situations where if you haven't seen it, you don't necessarily believe it until somebody does it, and then you figure out that, hey, I can do that too. Do you remember Roger Bannister?
Barely.
Roger Bannister was a miler, and this is before they did metrics, and it was a mile, and there was this thing called this goal called the 4-minute mile. And nobody believed that the 4-minute mile was possible. And doctors would say, oh, no, the human body can't go that fast. And the human body would break down and whatever they said at the time. Well, Roger Bannister basically said, phooey, I don't believe that. I can make that work. Now, if you want to know about Roger Bannister, look him up, because he's the first one to break the 4-minute mile.
May 6, 1954. So, yes.
And you know what happened right after that? Within 6 months, there were several other people who broke the 4-minute mile that had never achieved that before, because in our mind's eye and who we are, if we believe it can be done, it can be done. But some of us need, like in the Bible, there was doubting Thomas. Some of us need cold, hard facts to believe that what we think can happen can actually happen. But you instill that trust and that understanding that it can happen, but there's a belief factor in there as well, right?
Well, you got to not just believe it, you got to commit to it. All right, it's a couple of stories. First off, I want everybody to understand each one of us has to manage, if you would, learn to grow our internal drive. Okay? Grow it. Why do you want to do something? Ask that first. Why do I want to do this? Okay. What's behind that? Do I need to modify why I want to do it? Is it important to me? Okay. And you manage, if you would, grow your level of enthusiasm about a specific goal. All right. That's the first one. And I'm going to tell you a story. I woke up at December 5th, 1000, excuse me, my 18th year. So that's 1968. I'm ancient. Yeah, not quite. I'm
older than you are. Just, yeah. So there.
I'm 76, 75.
Oh, well, I lied. I'm sorry.
Bingo, right? Okay. So fall term freshman year at Oregon State, I developed an ulcerated colon, bleeding ulcer. Okay. I didn't know how bad it was. I showed up at the doctor's office and he said 3 sentences that changed my life. And this is a quote. Gee, Brad, if you'd have waited 6 weeks to come see me, you'd have bled to death. Woke me up, right?
Yeah.
Had my full attention as an 18-year-old. Then he said, you'll never eat strawberries, corn, or lettuce, or anything with roughage ever again in your life. And I said, fat chance, buddy. I didn't say it, but I thought it. It's like, that's not happening because I like those things, right? Maybe not
Yep.
lettuce so much, strawberry and corn for sure. And then he said the last one, you have a psychosomatic disease. And I knew what that word meant. You have a psychosomatic disease. Your emotions affect the severity of your symptoms. Drop that into my brain. And in that instant, I made 100% commitment to conquer it. If I had created it, then I could uncreate it. If I could cause my disease and make it worse, then I could uncause it. Then I could heal myself. 6 months later, I had the bleeding down to once in a while, like once in a while. 4 years later, I had the pain, which was constant, down to intermittent, right? I studied me. I studied my emotions. I studied how I got my emotions. That's a key. I made decisions. Every one of the long-term decisions I made, I had chosen, and I took full responsibility for it, right? 29 years later, at 47, I had tracked down a specific memory at about 12 months old where I thought I got my first spanking, one of them, right? And I went from unconditional love to conditional love. And I was potty training. So I pushed energy from my colon to be worthwhile, right? To be lovable. And as a result of that, that's where my colitis, that's where my disease showed up, right? And so as a result of that, I went back in, reworked that memory of the spanking. It wasn't a bad one, just like whap, whap, but I was awake enough at that time, which is stunning, awake enough that I made decisions. Rework that memory with a hypnotherapist to an adult perspective, and within a year, all my symptoms were gone.
And, I've heard that story repeated often because our mind does create our physical environment a lot of times, or what we believe to be true. Well, explain it to our audience who don't get it.
So we make decisions, and every time you make a decision that's got energy in it, actually the little ones too, they drop into our subconscious and rotate over and over and over. Okay? They've got big energy in it. And the younger you are, let's put it this way, when we're born until guys are about 6 years old, girls are about 5 years old, and the analytical mind develops, we're in the delta and the theta brainwave level. Never get to above the alpha, or the beta until we're older. Okay. And so all of our emotional decisions are locked into the range that hypnotherapy gets to in the theta brainwave level. And we have to go back in and rework them. Well, if we rework them, either by meditation or hypnotherapy or mantras or whatever, right? You go back in, you can change the brain chemistry and the energetics both that way. But until you do that consciously, it's locked in. Did that make sense?
Yeah, it does, because they've proven now that you can actually change how your brain works.
Well, that's built that way. Now, I'm going to add one thing to that whole thing. What I got out of that and the studying in depth of me and how life worked, I've gotten to the conclusion that all of life is psychosomatic, all of it. What you believe, you create. Whatever's working in your life, you believe it. Whatever's not working in your life, you also believe it. That's hard.
It's a hard understanding if you don't understand it. Does that make any sense?
Listen to it carefully. Go to sleep with it, right? So use your cycle through the day. Beta while you're thinking words and numbers. Alpha when you're kind of daydreaming and you get a little insight once in a while. Theta is the top part of a sleep cycle, and delta is the bottom 30 minutes of a 90-minute sleep cycle. And gamma is where you actually wake up. Gamma is where the whole brain works together, right? So what you want to do is start a conversation with your subconscious, which is down in the theta brainwave level, so that you can pose a question to your subconscious and wait for the answer to show up. You got a problem you're working on, right? Then you put it together, map out everything you do know. I did this as an analytical chemist and a formulation chemist, mind you, right? I had a problem in a formula and I couldn't figure out how to solve it. So I would map out everything I knew, define clearly what I didn't know and couldn't understand, and took a nap. And 15,
that makes sense.
yeah, and 15 minutes later, it took me 6 months to kind of train myself into this. But 15 minutes later, when I woke up out of my nap, I would have an answer or something close to it.
It's amazing, and the intuition, and I think that's what you're describing is an amazing thing. And we need to take our halftime break, but when we come back, and before we get into other stuff, because hopefully Rochelle will show up. She's had a bit of anyway. I want to talk about the deep intuitive masterclass, which can change your life from the inside out, and then can change your company from the inside out, or your family, or your relationships. It's all really, dare I say it, it's all connected, just like we are all connected. So we're talking with Brad Smith, and we will be right back right after this. You're listening to Positive Talk on the Brushwood Media Network.
You're listening to Brushwood Media Network, the best in syndicated talk, news, and entertainment shows.
Are you looking for your daily dose of inspiration? Stay connected to all your favorite shows, music, and news with the Brushwood Media Network app. From Positive Talk Radio to Greatest Vibes Unplugged and so many more uplifting voices around the world, everything you need is right in one place. It's easy to use, too. Always available and designed to keep you inspired 24 hours a day. Go to brushwoodmedianetwork.com and download the app, and you will always have Brushwood Media available on your smartphone. Download it now and make inspiration and music and conversation part of your everyday. And welcome back to Positive Talk. My name is Kevin, and Brad Smith is with us. He is a remarkable man because he's done so much in his youthful life, because he's not near done yet. He's got all kinds of ideas and thoughts and he even said before the show began, I've got big things that I need to do and I haven't done them yet. So I'm working on developing them and stuff. But one of the things he has done is he's built a killer website, which again is called Stellar Insight Inc.com. And I love the picture of it and the stars and all of what you're talking about and stuff. But I wanted to focus on the deep intuitive master class, because in my way of thinking, and tell me if I'm even close, in my way of thinking, in order for you to become who you really are, you have to understand and utilize your intuition, because that is a major part of the hints that you're getting to become who you really are. Am I even close?
Yep.
Well, good. Explain.
All right. So how do you know whether it's intuition or not? Right? You have to watch inside and where thoughts come from really carefully. Where did that thought come from? Where did that feeling come from? Right? Track it back. So the gift, if you would, my colitis gave me was paying attention to this beaker.
Yes.
Okay? And if you pay attention really carefully, you'll understand that there's a shift when it comes into your mind, because you thinking a thought involves your will. You receiving information doesn't involve your will. And the whole point of meditation is learning to manage the presence muscle, as I describe it. The presence muscle. Am I present? Am I not present? Am I present? Am I not present? So if you learn how to manage that presence muscle and you learn to listen internally, you'll get a feel. I'm going to challenge everybody that's listening. Learn how to pay attention to where thoughts come from, okay? Because if they make sense, especially the epiphanies, all right? The Deep Intuition Masterclass, I realized about 6 months into some of my practices, maybe 7, I don't remember for sure, standing in the middle of my analytical lab working on a formula, going, oh crap, I can hold 6 times as much information as in my mind and correlate it and assimilate it together that I could before I started this practice. It's not linear, one thought, one thought, one thought, one thought. It was like I could take the whole network and hold it in my mind at the same time and see how they fit together and see where they worked and where they didn't work and where the gaps were. And that was my first experience of the deeper intuition. So when you have an epiphany, that's the state you hold after you've gone through about 18 months worth of really interesting work.
Now, in my world, because water conducts energy, sometimes I'll get thoughts in the shower. And
but you're in alpha when you're doing that. You're not in theta. You're not in delta. I'm getting backwards. Beta is where we do analytical thinking. When you're taking a shower, you relax and you shift into the alpha brainwave level, and you're more receptive then to the other side than you are not. Driving down the road by yourself, right? Or whatever, driving down the road, something will pop into your head, right? What you've done is you relaxed a little bit and it comes in. It takes work to get to the place where you've paid enough attention that you can relax and be receptive all the time.
And that takes discipline.
Yep. Practice, discipline.
And also managing we have so many negative thoughts that come into our head every day, and we're thinking about what we've got to do next and who we got to do it with and all that stuff. To stop that takes practice, doesn't it?
What would happen if you got to the place where there were no negative thoughts in your conscious mind?
Oh, I'd be a lot happier, wouldn't you?
Well,
you probably are.
I am. I am, right? I manage my thoughts. Okay?
That's a new idea. Actually managing your thoughts rather than letting them control you.
Oh, no. First off, you can't let your emotions control you. They're a tool, right? Would you let a shovel run your life? Right?
Yep.
Right? Okay, so emotions are tools, but so is the mind. Okay? The mind is a tool. Some people are tools too, but that's different.
I'd ask you to explain that, but I'm not exactly sure I want you to.
No. Let's not go there. Right? Those are people that haven't learned how to be decent humans yet. Or will they? Eventually they will. But that's a hard road to run. See that mountain behind you in the picture behind you, right?
Yep.
Right? They got to run up that in order to get to be a decent human.
Exactly. And Brad, I want to take this moment to introduce 2 people to you. The first one is Brachelle has joined us. Yeah. And Brachelle, my dear, how are you? And the other person that's joined us, we'll wait for her to connect and her audio. And the other one that I wanted to mention is Samuel. He operates the Hope community well, Brachelle, are you there yet, kid?
Yes, I'm here. Sorry, forgot to add myself to the studio. It's one of those days, but hi, Kevin, and hello, Brad. I'm so glad to finally see you again so soon. And hello, Samuel. He says, hello, brother Kevin, and our guest, Brad Smith, watching you live from the slums in Nairobi, Kenya.
And he didn't know that you were here, so that's why I didn't mention your name, Brachelle.
That's okay. He'll figure it out.
But I wanted, and I've taken the liberty, Rochelle, and I really would like to go down this because I think it's really important. Brad, can you you remember what we talked about before we began the show?
Vaguely.
Because you don't remember stuff, or is it that you just let it go?
Okay, so I've had 3 concussions actually affect the front left lobe. That's where your memory for current events is located. And so I've had to learn how to rebuild it from scratch. Not good.
Well, and those things happen, and isn't that part of, we've talked about Journey of Souls, and isn't that part of your life experience, and to gain the experiences that you need to take yourself and the people that are come in contact with your soul into a wholly different place, because that's the experiences that we need, and we don't ever really a lot of times understand why we have those experiences until after the fact. Would that be true?
That's called learning.
Oh, is that what that's called?
Yeah, that's a really good answer, Brad. I'd have to agree.
Why do we have really awesome experiences? Because that's the end result that we've been striving for. And that lets us get the epiphany of, oh, I can do this. Why do we have horrible experiences? Because it smacks us up against the head and wakes us up. I have learned that there are 3 methods of learning for human beings. You can learn from the whispers, that's intuition and paying attention. You can learn from normal life, which are just the messages that happen, or you can learn from brick walls. I work really, really hard not to learn from brick walls, but those are the things that smack you up against the head and say, literally, and pay attention.
Yeah.
And that's well, we all have those every now and again, because sometimes the universe has to throw us up against a brick wall to get our attention.
Well, no, we're running through life at 60 miles an hour. And if you see the brick wall, you can relax a little bit and sidestep it. But if you don't pay attention, you run smack into it at 60 miles an hour. There you go.
Well, and Rochelle, I can tell this story a little bit because I created an impact in my life with years ago. I was driving a U-Haul and I went the back way, and there was this trestle, and this trestle was 8 feet. It was built in like the early 1900s, and it was 8 feet high. The U-Haul was 9.5 feet tall. But here's a metaphor, and tell me if this is a good one. But the outcome of that was there was no warning prior to that, other than a sign that said trestle 8 feet, and the U-Haul said 9.5 feet. So I hit the U-Haul into the trestle at 35 miles an hour. But that caused the city to put up a warning, and also a what do you call it? A platform on either side of the trestle that had the height. Then if you hit the pole, or if you hit the pole before you hit the trestle, that means that you weren't high enough. So I created something that saved somebody else from having a terrible experience, because they built that platform to protect other people from having what happened to me happen. So is that a decent metaphor for life?
That's a good brick wall. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a squishy brick.
and Brad, I hit that trestle so hard that the back bumper of the U-Haul was on the ground.
Oh my God. Wham.
I bet you paid attention every day after that, though.
I'd never go do that again. Yeah, absolutely. But that's kind of a metaphor for life experience and what we get and what we learn from it as well, isn't it?
So here's the thought. If it hurts like hell, right? If it hurts really, really badly, it doesn't mean you're wrong or worthless. It just means you need to learn a little bit more. All of life is about learning. All of it, every scrap of it is about learning. Some of it more energetic, some of it not, right? So I'm going to tell you a story. My first wife and I had 6 pregnancies, and the very first one, the very first daughter died a day and a half before she was born by a cord accident. And our next pregnancy was my daughter, who's alive, quite lovely, married with 2 grandchildren, yay. And then the third pregnancy was ended at 6 months due to a cord accident. Same thing, twisted. The little boy turned 34 times in the same direction, like a wind-up rubber band airplane. But
Sure.
what I learned out of that was 2 really big things. I realized for the 2 years that it had taken me to learn how to grieve from our first loss and work my way through it, when we were in the hospital and we knew that the little boy had died, I recognized that I had deepened myself enough through my grieving that I could be supportive of my wife as we went through that kind of grieving period afterwards. So I realized in that moment that all of life was about learning. Hard stuff.
And it really is. Rochelle, have you a comment here?
Yeah, I think there's even in those big moments of deep emotion and grief and sorrow like that, you have these little let's say like shimmers that maybe start to appear because you realize that without you having the awareness of life being so fragile and we just run through it at 60 miles an hour, that maybe you start to see those sparkles, and that creates these new little pathways, these new ways of learning, these new ways of understanding, these new ways of letting yourself be, however that is, right? Because in those moments where life is so fragile, we're not thinking about ways to make it worse. It's just a natural reaction to feel those emotions, and sometimes it's really just allowing yourself to feel that is what's the hardest. It's not what has happened, because your mind can try to make sense of things and wrap around it and kind of bring you to a point to where you're safe, but your heart and your soul self, your energy, is maybe not adding up with that. And that's where we feel this disconnect within ourselves, when maybe that's exactly how we do connect it, is by allowing it to be full in itself, not just a situation. It's like a catapult maybe, rather than, you got to get launched back first before you can fly, I think.
And Brad, I would love for you to save that thought that you are excited about sharing for this real quick break. We're just going to be gone for 40 seconds, and we'll be right back. And Brad's going to answer that. Brad Smith is our guest. Rochelle is here. I'm so glad you're here, Rochelle.
Me too.
We'll be right back. Here's another point to ponder by Positive Talk Radio. One man lost everything he thought to find him. His job, his marriage, even his confidence. At rock bottom, he realized the one thing no one could ever take was his will to rise again. Sometimes life has to break us open so we can discover the strength we never knew was inside. Remember, your lowest point is not the end. It can become the very foundation of your greatest comeback. And you are listening to Positive Talk Radio, where stories of hope come alive. And welcome back to Positive Talk. Rochelle's here. Yeah, she's here. All right. And
Hey,
Brad
y'all.
Smith is here. And Brad, so what do you think about what Rochelle said?
Of a single word, maybe 2 or 3. Every life is precious.
Yeah.
Every one of us is a treasure. Okay? If we're horrible human beings, it just means we haven't learned how to be decent human beings yet. If we're wonderful human beings, it means that we're expressing the treasure and the preciousness of who we could be.
Rochelle?
Yeah, 100%. I guess that does bring it all into full motion, because whether it's the beginning or whether it's the end, what matters most to us is usually wrapped around the same thing of understanding how much of a blessing that one specific physical life really is to us.
Yep.
And Brad, from my perspective, and I would love your opinion on this, I consider every day that I get to breathe and I get my sorry little butt out of bed a victory. And it makes me happy to be here and excited about the grand adventure that I'm going to experience that day. Am I delusional?
Perfectly delusional. Thank you.
Thank goodness.
What would happen if this weren't, it's like, okay, this is all made out of energy, right?
Right.
And we could modify it at will. Well, there's certain boundaries around that whole thing. We have boundaries around, we wake up, we look the same almost, well, over time, maybe it changes, right? But we get familiar with this vehicle, if you would. This, I describe it this way. Human beings decide to come and show up here so that we can learn until we decide it's time to go home. Okay? Every one of these, doesn't matter whether you decide to be a man or a woman, black, green, or orange, right? None. Doesn't matter. We show up so that we can learn. We choose the whole journey of souls. Choice, I get to learn these big things. Well, you don't pick every day. And so if you learn to be delighted with every moment in your life, and that takes work, right? You have to let go of all the decisions you made that life is horrible, right? And look for the possibility to reinvent yourself on a daily basis. Who am I going to be today that's better than I was yesterday? What am I going to learn today that makes me more able to, in my case, share with other people what the possibilities are, right? So if I can help make people millionaires and a couple that are going to wind up billionaires that I'm working with, that's fun, right? But what's going on behind that is who they are is growing so that they can expand and let room in for the extra zeros. How's that for a statement?
That is. And the one last thing that I would highly suggest, because of the people you work with and how you work with them, that they become, they make a great deal of money, but they also become philanthropists, and they help other people and they give back rather than hoarding and putting it into excessive yachts and that kind of stuff. They understand that they're part of the collective. They're part of the whole. That we're all in this together, and they tend to help more people. Am I correct in that?
There's a range. Right? On one end, you've got the people that are glorious and delightful and learn how to be that way, right? On the other end, they've got just the bare minimum skills it takes to make lots of zeros. That's it. They're focused, they're directed, their accomplishment, they think they're the smartest person in the room, which is the worst thing in the world you could do. It's like if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room, or you've hired the wrong group of people, and you need to shut up.
Exactly.
And that is just so true. And but also, I want everybody to understand this, that from my perspective in reading Journey of Souls, which we've talked about, on the other side, we are an energetic body. And as an energetic body, we can do, be, and have anything we want almost instantaneously, because but the reason we come here I'm told from many sources that Earth is a difficult school, that we are told before we even come here, you sure you want to do that? There are much easier places and much easier ways to do it, but we do it because we are warriors and we are interested in learning from our experiences to the grand design of how everything works. So it's a harder school because you can't manifest instantaneously here like you can on the other side. It takes work, it takes effort, and that's part of the reason why it's so exciting, isn't it, Brad?
Oh, absolutely. I can't wait to the point where I can walk on water, right? Or levitate,
Or
right?
fly.
And
Yes.
when I get to the place where I can do that, I'm going to be here as a teacher of levitation. I'm going to be here as, I want to teach people what's possible. But to get to the place where you have enough internal conscious power to do those miracle things, and that's just amplitude of the wave you put out, right? Just amplitude. So it's like when you get to the place where you can do those things, and when we get there, we'll be good. I will.
Well, I would like to say this. You already are good. It's just the degree by which you choose to exercise that goodness. How about that for a line, huh?
There you go. One of my favorite teachers was the second grade bully. And I think his name was Steve Johnson, but who knows? Walked up to me. He was the youngest of 5 brothers, put his fist into my stomach, right at the abdomen. Obviously, I stopped breathing and looked really deeply into my eyes and said, "Do you know what your initials stand for?" And walked off. 3 minutes later, when I got back to my homeroom, leaned down, finally got a whole breath, I realized, oh, he meant my initials are BS. That must stand for bullshit. So I've done my very best to live up to that ever since and never take myself seriously.
I'm taking that from you.
And Brichelle, thank you for coming in to this, and you do this so well. So I would love for you to take us. We've come to the end of our time. I've already told Brad that he has to come back, and which he will, I hope. Won't you, Brad?
Yeah.
Please?
Yeah.
And good.
No,
And,
don't even have to wiggle. There we are.
and so, Brichelle, take us out.
Yes. Well, Kevin, thank you as always for making this possible. Brad, thank you so much for your time and your dedication to understanding and the willingness of learning in life. We all deserve to say yes to that, because why not, right? And we have to hold up to the BS and make it all possible at the same time. So as we go out of the show, thank you everybody who's joined in. And if you didn't listen to the full show, please do so. Brad will be back again with us for a brand new conversation soon. Brad, please do share the best ways to get in contact with you and find ways about your work and where to start with somebody who wants to embark on this journey and have you along their side with them. And then any message you'd like to leave us with, just a thought for the show.
Ask yourself what you want to accomplish and then figure out how you're going to do it. And if you want to get there sooner, go to my website, set up a time to talk to me.
And your website is, again,
StellarInsightInc.com, because I realized what I sell is insight.
Amen.
and that's all there is, isn't there?
Yep, that's it.
And Brad, it's such a pleasure to have you here. And Brichelle, stay with us. And we need to exit the show, but this has been a powerful show. And thank you so much, Brad Smith, for being here. Work with him. If you want to double your income in a year, he can help. You can do it, but only if you believe you can. So he can help you with that belief. And we'll be We'll be back for our next show, and that'll be in the future. So have a great day, everybody. Thank you for being part of Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald, where stories inspire and voices remind us of what truly matters. May today's conversation give you hope, courage, and a reason to keep moving forward. And just remember, till next time, be kind to one another because each other's all we've got.